We're talking in it's only midweek, but it's already been a hugely proud week for the club. Tuesday night in Budapest, the club came out on top, the More Than Football Award for the Tackling Loneliness project, and as we've already said, that must be a source of huge pride for you.
Excuse me. It's been an amazing week, really. I think James put it best. We beat the Premier League big boys on Monday with Planet Football, and then we took Europe by storm in Budapest with the More Than Football Award. It's both projects fantastic, and I will probably talk about both, but both projects fantastic. And to be awarded and get recognition for the community work that happens is fantastic. We all know what goes on, and we all know what we do, and I think we try and promote that as much as possible. But to get recognition for it, and on a national and a European stage, is something different for two very different projects as well. Looking at climate change and loneliness and tackling loneliness. Two very different projects that we've worked very hard to be part of.
And it's with the Tackling Loneliness project, it's hard to almost get into your head that this award, this isn't just a local or regional or even an EFL wide award. We're up against some of the big powerhouses of European football, and to come out on top shows just what a huge impact and what level of community engagement that project reached.
Absolutely, it's special for me because a lot of stuff happens at the club, as you know, Gareth, that I'm not overly involved in at times, or I'll know about, or some I don't even know about, because there's so much good work that goes on. But this project was definitely personal to me because I was involved with it, and making phone calls myself and talking to people and experience the loneliness that people were going through, and understanding it and seeing it, and well, not seeing it necessarily, but hearing it on the phone. And there was a couple of people that I spoke to that it brought home when you're sitting in a decent sized house, and people are talking about, in certain communities, and people are talking about suffering through COVID, etc. And I spoke to one man who I won't name, but was in a third floor flat by himself without internet. And over, I think he was probably 87, and that sort of lockdown was, but understanding that lockdown for somebody was made life a bit easier for me, in terms of how I was suffering sort of lockdown, and it made me realise that there were people suffering a lot more than we were. So it encouraged me, certainly personally, to make more phone calls and speak to more people, and I think that's the key for me. It's that sort of personal connection to this project that made me understand really what the impact it really did have.
I think one of the most impressive aspects of the project is the way it flexed to deal with the ever-changing needs. Going back at the time, within a couple of days of the first lockdown happening, the early phone calls were going out initially to check up on people. That then seemed to grow its own momentum. People were coming forward with other people that they felt would benefit from a call, and then the players and the manager, and we shouldn't forget Keith and his staff and the players at the time getting involved through to the current squad, and John Brady. They've all made calls, yourself as well, of course, and it's the way that the project continues today, but it's evolved. Life has pretty much got back to normal, but there are still people in need, and you only have to look at the extra time group on a Monday to see that the project is still working and still reaching out to people.
No, absolutely, and again, this is recognition. We can't forget the work that goes on to get that recognition. All through the community, all through the club. I think this is why, again, it's so very special. Both of these projects, Planet Football and More Than Football, both they were embraced by the club as a whole. And you mentioned Keith, and I've spoken to Keith to say thank you again and congratulate him, because he is part of this award. We communicated when we were nominated in the top four, and I will call him this week. I know he had a big FA Cup win yesterday, so I didn't want to bother him last night. But Colin, the staff, the players from that time, the players now, John, and etc. But also the people in the offices, Gareth. And don't forget the impact that you had at that time. And you were very influential in organising a lot of this stuff, especially on the playing side. So we can't, forget that recognition. Bob who really did build up the program and was really part of the program for the community side, and and Scott and the trustees and Phil and his team in the community, and James and everyone at the club. It was a group effort. It was a coming together. It was what was needed, and the key was, it wasn't something that I think was designed. It wasn't overly thought out initially. It was, well, we've kind of got to do something. What should we do? I don't think there was a need for funding necessarily, and I don't think there was a thought of how we're going to fund it. It was more just, let's just get on the phone and call people, and I think that's and I got plenty of messages from people. One that had been called, and two that were asking, hey, could you call my nan? Could you call, and we did. Let's not forget, this was true community. This wasn't. It wasn't just fans we called. We called anyone and everyone, I think, that was lonely or was in need, and we tried to call as many people as possible. So if someone said, hey, can you call my nan? And some of the calls were really interesting. Everyone always says, I've been a fan for 50 years, etc. That's the typical thing that I get told. But some of these, some of the men and women that I spoke to had been fans since they were 5-6 years of age, and when I was talking to 90-year-olds, 92-year-olds, and we talked for a while. It wasn't like a quick, oh, how you doing phone call. We talked for quite a while about their experiences as a football club and back in history and what happened and what they experienced and stuff. So it was but it was, and that's what everyone experienced, and I think that's why the club bought into it, and I think that's why people like Keith and John and the players all bought into it, because it was interesting stories. We were having an impact, but it was interesting as well to hear from people and listen to experiences.
Awards are great, trophies are great, but the bottom line is this project has saved lives.
Yeah, and obviously I think there was it without a doubt, and it had an impact. It had an impact within the community, and all we do as a club continues to have that impact all the way through the age groups. And that's what's, I'm always stopping into the extra time club and saying hello, and when I'm at the stadium and on a Monday, and you see that sort of interaction just helps people in their day-to-day lives.
Unbelievably, there was a second community award this week, Planet League. We held off the challenge of Manchester United and Leeds and Chelsea and Liverpool and other clubs to come out on top of that. So again, that's something else, that it shows the community engagement. It shows the togetherness, the link, the strength, the bond between the club and the supporters.
Yeah, I can't wait till we play Forest Green again, so I could have a little chat with Dow about taking over his mantle as the most climate friendly chairman in the country. But more seriously, it was a massive impact, and again, something the club did. James and Tom, I saw tweeting about water bottles and etc., and how much they were drinking, and throughout the club I saw the recycling going on, and everyone had a part to play in that. And the key for that, and the Loneliness Project, and what I liked about the fact that we got recognised for both projects, is we sort of covered all age ranges, because the Loneliness Project was obviously was not primarily, but was focused generally in the older community and the more vulnerable older community. But the Planet Football was all about schools. It was a lot about schools and the engagement in the schools, and the work that Damon did in getting people, and the excitement Damon had. I always see Damon, he was quite upset at one point when Man United pipped us 1 week and thought they might be top, but he held off the challenge successfully, and he just got the schools involved. And I've had plenty of messages from headmasters and people in schools that have said that it was wonderful for their kids to be engaged in such a fun and important activity.
To win one award is amazing. To win both really does show the strength of the community engagement between the football club, and not just the supporters, but the wider community, not just in Northamptonshire, but beyond. And as the chairman, as the head of the organisation, that must give you huge pride to know what a difference the football club is making, not just to Cobblers fans, but to the wider community too.
Yeah, it was really good last night to see. I actually got, I think the news came out from the European award a little bit maybe sooner than we'd actually heard, and I think it was leaked out or something. And I'd actually got I got a couple of messages from people that said congratulations. And it was really good to see the level of congratulations that we got, and the way the information was so people were so pleased for the club and the recognition the club was getting. Got the council, the Gavin at the cricket club. So many people just said thanks. Just says thanks for what you did, and thanks for the club for what they do, and et cetera, and they recognise it themselves. So that was just fantastic, and there's an immense pride that comes on, because we are a family, we are a club, and we are a community.
Just one on the field area to touch on, Kelvin. Since we last spoke, the Northampton Town women held their most recent home game at Sixfields a week and a half ago. More than 1,000 people in attendance, and again, that also shows it's not just about a first team. It's not just about 11 people kicking a ball around on a Saturday. To see the strength that the female football programme at Northampton Town has now, again, that must be more pride for you.
Yeah, what a game as well. I was there. I thought it was an excellent game. I thought the girls did fantastically, and a couple of cracking goals as well. So it was really good. It was end-to-end stuff, and I agree with the man of the match. And overall, I thought they just and again, it was community spirit. There were sponsors there, there were fans there, there were young ladies there. To see the role models. I've just actually interested. I've just listened to Alex Scott's audiobook, which is interesting as well, and the way she talked about role models, and it's so good for some of these young players to especially the female players, to have role models at Northampton of players they want to emulate, etc. in their careers. So I thought it was a great day. I was a bit concerned about the weather to start with, because it did come down, but overall, I think the weather got better, and the performance and the game got better.
Thanks, Kelvin, and great to look back on what's been an amazing few days for the club.
Yeah, thanks, Gareth. It's a very prideful week.